In a dimly lit courtroom, tension hangs thick in the air as a young boy, barely in his teens, stands before a judge whose reputation for ruthlessness is well known. The gavel strikes, and the atmosphere shifts. The boy's heart races as he feels the weight of the world pressing down on him. It's not just any trial, it's a moment that could alter the course of his young life forever. The judge, with a smirk that betrays years of disdain for juvenile delinquents, begins to mock him, tossing barbed comments that cut deeper than any sentence could. The laughter of the courtroom echoes, a chilling reminder of the power dynamics at play, as the boy's cheeks flush with embarrassment and fear. As the proceedings unfold, the boy's mind races, grappling with the enormity of his situation. He's not just fighting for his freedom, he's battling the very perception of who he is. The judge's taunts serve as a cruel reminder of the societal labels that can define a person, especially when they're young and vulnerable. Yet in this moment of despair, something shifts. A voice from the back of the room breaks through the noise, a voice that carries authority and compassion, reminding everyone present of the boy's humanity. The words spoken are simple, yet profound, igniting a flicker of hope in the boy's heart and sending a ripple through the courtroom. The timing of this intervention couldn't be more critical. Just as the judge prepares to deliver a verdict that could seal the boy's fate, the unexpected plea resonates, challenging the very foundation of the courtroom's atmosphere. The boy, who moments ago felt small and powerless, now stands a little taller, emboldened by the support that emerges from the shadows. The dynamic shifts, and the judge, momentarily taken aback, finds himself confronted with a reality he had tried to ignore. The boy's story, once reduced to mere mockery, now commands attention, forcing everyone to reconsider the narratives they've accepted so easily. In the world of justice, where often the loudest voices drown out the quiet ones, this pivotal moment serves as a reminder of the impact of empathy and understanding. The methodology of the courtroom, typically rigid and unforgiving, begins to unravel, revealing the complexities of human experiences that lie beneath the surface. The boy's journey, marked by resilience and vulnerability, becomes a testament to the power of words, the ability to uplift or to destroy, to silence or to empower. As the judge grapples with the implications of the two words that have changed everything, the courtroom holds its breath. The boy's pale face reflects the gravity of the moment, a mixture of fear and hope swirling within him. The significance of this encounter extends far beyond the walls of the courtroom. It reverberates into the lives of those who witness it, challenging them to reconsider their perceptions of justice, mercy, and the fragility of youth. In that fleeting instant, the boy transforms from a target of ridicule to a symbol of resilience, reminding everyone present that sometimes it takes just two words to alter the course of a life forever. The courtroom buzzed with a mix of tension and anticipation, the air thick with the scent of polished wood and old paper. Sunlight streamed through tall windows, casting long shadows that danced across the floor. At the center of it all sat a boy, no older than 16, his hands trembling slightly as they rested on the table before him. He had come to this place hoping for justice, but the weight of the world seemed to press down on his shoulders. His eyes darted nervously around the room, taking in the stern faces of the jury and the imposing figure of the judge, whose gavel lay ominously close at hand. The judge, a seasoned man with a reputation for being unyielding, surveyed the boy with a mixture of disdain and curiosity. He had seen countless cases unfold in this very room, but today felt different. The boy's disheveled hair and worn-out clothes told a story of hardship, one that had likely shaped him into the person he was now. As the proceedings began, the judge leaned forward, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "So, you expect us to believe your little tale? A boy like you caught up in a mess of your own making?" The words cut through the air like a knife, eliciting a few chuckles from the gallery. The boy's face flushed, a mix of embarrassment and anger flickering across his features. As the judge continued his mockery, the boy struggled to maintain his composure. He had rehearsed his story 1,000 times, each word carefully chosen to convey his innocence. But now, under the harsh glare of the courtroom lights and the judge's relentless scrutiny, he felt his resolve begin to crumble. The laughter echoed in his ears, a cruel reminder of the world outside that had never been kind to him. Yet deep down, a flicker of determination ignited. He knew he had to stand firm, to fight for his truth against the tide of disbelief that threatened to drown him. Then, in a moment that felt both surreal and electrifying, the boy spoke up. his voice steady despite the chaos swirling around him. "You don't know me." The words hung in the air, heavy with unspoken meaning. The judge paused, his expression shifting from amusement to something more serious. The courtroom fell silent, every eye now fixed on the boy. He could feel the weight of their gazes, a mix of curiosity and skepticism. But he pressed on, his heart racing. "You don't know what I've been through. You don't know what I've lost." In that instant, the atmosphere shifted. The boy's vulnerability pierced through the layers of mockery and judgment, leaving the judge momentarily speechless. The laughter faded, replaced by an unsettling stillness. The boy's pale face reflected the dawning realization that he had struck a chord, that perhaps, just perhaps, his words had the power to change the course of the trial. The judge, taken aback, cleared his throat, and for the first time, he looked at the boy not as a mere delinquent, but as a young man with a story worth hearing. The courtroom, once a battleground of ridicule, transformed into a space where truth might finally emerge from the shadows. As you embark on your journey toward growth and discovery, imagine the incredible support and insights waiting for you in our vibrant community. By subscribing and sharing your thoughts in the comments, you'll not only gain access to exclusive content, but also connect with like-minded individuals who inspire and uplift each other. Join us today, and let's fuel each other's passions and dreams together. Your next adventure starts here. The courtroom buzzed with a tense energy, the air thick with anticipation, as young Ethan stood nervously before the judge. At just 15, he found himself entangled in a web of accusations that felt far too heavy for his slender shoulders. The judge, a stern man with a reputation for being unforgiving, leaned forward, a mocking smile creeping across his face as he scrutinized the boy. "So tell me, Ethan," he said, his voice dripping with condescension, "do you really think you can talk your way out of this mess?" The words echoed in the chamber, sending a ripple of laughter through the spectators. Ethan's heart raced, and he felt the heat of embarrassment wash over him, a stark contrast to the coolness of the courtroom's marble floors. As the judge continued to belittle him, Ethan's mind raced. He was no stranger to adversity. His life had been a series of challenges, each one shaping him into the resilient young man he was. Yet, standing before the judge, he felt small and powerless. The accusations of theft hung over him like a dark cloud, and the laughter of the audience felt like daggers piercing his confidence. He had come to court hoping for understanding, for a chance to explain the circumstances that had led him to this moment. Instead, he was met with ridicule. Just as he was about to crumble under the weight of the judge's derision, a glimmer of hope sparked within him. He remembered the words of his mother, who always told him to stand tall and speak his truth no matter how daunting the situation seemed. With a deep breath, Ethan found his voice. "Your Honor," he began, his voice steady despite the tremor in his hands. "I didn't steal anything. I was trying to help my sister." The courtroom fell silent, the laughter replaced by a palpable tension as the judge raised an eyebrow, intrigued by the boy's unexpected defiance. Ethan pressed on, recounting how his sister had fallen into a dangerous situation and how he had taken the desperate step of borrowing a bike to reach her in time. "I didn't mean to break the law, I just wanted to save her," he concluded, his eyes pleading for understanding. It was then that the judge leaned back in his chair, the mockery fading from his expression. "Two words," he said, his tone shifting from derision to contemplation. "Your sister." The impact of those words was profound, reverberating throughout the courtroom. Suddenly the narrative shifted. The judge's demeanor transformed, and the audience, once quick to judge, now leaned in, captivated by the boy's story of loyalty and love. Ethan felt the weight of the world lift slightly as he saw the shift in perception. The judge, recognizing the gravity of the situation, began to see Ethan not as a mere delinquent but as a young man driven by familial devotion. In that moment, the courtroom became a stage for redemption rather than condemnation. The significance of Ethan's words resonated deeply, illustrating the power of context and compassion in a system often quick to judge. As the judge deliberated, Ethan realized that his truth had the potential to change everything. He stood not just for himself, but for those who felt voiceless, reminding everyone present that sometimes it takes just two words to illuminate the complexities of a situation, leaving even the most hardened hearts pale with reflection. The courtroom buzzed with an unsettling energy as the boy, no older than 16, stood before the judge. His hands trembled slightly, and his eyes darted nervously around the room. absorbing the weight of the gavel that would soon fall. Just days earlier, he had been a typical teenager, navigating the complexities of high school, friends, and dreams of a bright future. But now he was ensnared in a legal battle that felt insurmountable, facing accusations that could alter the course of his life forever. The judge, a grizzled veteran of the bench, leaned forward, a sardonic smile creeping across his face. "You think you can play the victim here?" The boy's heart raced, and he struggled to find his voice amidst the mockery, the words of his defense attorney fading into a blur. Just as the tension reached its peak, the boy's mother, seated in the back of the courtroom, stood up, her face pale and her hands shaking. "Two words," she whispered, barely audible yet heavy with implication. "Not guilty." The words hung in the air, electrifying the atmosphere. The judge's expression faltered for a moment, revealing a crack in his facade. Those two words, uttered with a conviction that belied her fear, shifted the narrative entirely. The courtroom fell silent, and the boy felt a surge of hope mixed with dread. He realized then that the stakes were higher than he had ever imagined. This was not just about him, but about a system that often failed to recognize the truth, especially for the vulnerable. This incident encapsulated a critical issue that has emerged in recent years: the alarming rise in wrongful convictions among youth, particularly those from marginalized backgrounds. According to recent studies, nearly 10,000 young people are wrongfully convicted each year in the United States, often due to systemic biases, inadequate legal representation, or the overwhelming pressure to plead guilty. The boy's case was not an isolated incident. It was part of a troubling trend that demanded urgent attention. The courtroom, a supposed bastion of justice, had transformed into a theater of mockery, where the complexities of truth and innocence were overshadowed by the judge's disdain and the boy's vulnerability. As the proceedings continued, the boy's mind raced with thoughts of his future. He had dreams of becoming an engineer, of building bridges and creating solutions for a better world. Yet here he was, fighting for his very existence, caught in a web of misunderstanding and prejudice. The urgency to understand this phenomenon was palpable. It was a call to action for everyone involved in the justice system, from lawmakers to educators, and particularly the community at large. The need for reform was not just a matter of policy, it was a moral imperative, a chance to protect the innocent and ensure that no child would have to endure the mockery of a judge or the weight of wrongful accusations. In that moment, as the boy stood resolute, he understood that his battle was not just his own. It was a fight for justice, for truth, and for the countless others who had been silenced. The two words that had changed everything were not merely a defense. They were a rallying cry for a movement that demanded to be heard. The urgency was clear. Understanding the complexities of the justice system and advocating for reform was critical, not just for the boy in the courtroom, but for the future of countless young lives hanging in the balance. In a dimly lit courtroom, tension hangs thick in the air as a young boy, barely old enough to understand the gravity of his situation, stands before a judge whose demeanor radiates authority and disdain. The judge, a figure of unwavering power, leans forward, his eyes piercing through the boy with a mixture of skepticism and condescension. The boy's heart races, and he feels the weight of the world pressing down on his small shoulders. He is accused of a crime that, in his innocence, he cannot fully comprehend. The atmosphere is charged with uncertainty, and the boy's vulnerability is palpable. As the proceedings unfold, the judge's mocking words echo throughout the courtroom, each syllable laced with derision. The boy's cheeks flush with embarrassment, and he shifts uncomfortably, wishing he could disappear. The laughter of onlookers, a chorus of disapproval and disbelief, only amplifies his sense of isolation. In this moment, he is not just a child facing judgment. He is a symbol of the failures of a system that seems to relish in his humiliation. The judge's scornful remarks are not merely an attack on the boy's character. They reflect a broader societal tendency to dismiss the struggles of the young and vulnerable. Yet, amidst the derision, a flicker of hope emerges. The boy, despite his fear, clings to the belief that truth will ultimately prevail. He knows he is innocent, and that knowledge becomes a lifeline in the storm of mockery. As the judge continues to belittle him, the boy's resolve strengthens. He remembers the words of his mother, who always taught him that courage comes in many forms, and sometimes standing firm in the face of adversity is the bravest thing one can do. This inner strength begins to transform his fear into a quiet determination. Then, in a moment that feels both surreal and monumental, the boy utters two simple words that change the course of the trial. The courtroom falls silent, as if time itself has paused to absorb the weight of his declaration. The judge, initially taken aback, suddenly shifts his expression from amusement to disbelief. The boy's words, though unadorned, carry a profound truth that resonates within the walls of the courtroom. They are not just words, they are a testament to his resilience and an assertion of his identity. The atmosphere shifts, and the laughter fades, replaced by a palpable tension. As the implications of what he has said sink in, the judge's reaction is telling. His facade of authority begins to crack. The boy's courage has unveiled a vulnerability in the judge, exposing the flaws in a system that thrives on power dynamics. The courtroom, once a place of derision, now becomes a battleground for justice and truth. The boy's pale face reflects the realization that he has transformed the narrative. He is no longer just a victim of circumstance, but a catalyst for change. This shift is not merely personal, it signifies a larger commentary on the importance of voice and agency, especially for those who are often marginalized. As the proceedings continue, the atmosphere is charged with possibility. The boy's two words have sparked a dialogue that challenges the status quo. In that moment, he embodies the hope that even the most vulnerable can disrupt the cycles of mockery and disdain. His experience in the courtroom becomes a microcosm of a larger struggle for justice, reminding all present that the power of truth can illuminate even the darkest corners of human experience. The boy, once pale with fear, now stands a little taller, a beacon of resilience in a world that often seeks to silence the innocent. In the courtroom, the atmosphere was thick with tension. The judge, a stern figure with a reputation for being unforgiving, leaned forward, a smirk playing on his lips as he addressed the boy standing before him. The boy, barely 13, fidgeted nervously, his heart racing as the judge's condescending tone echoed through the room. This was not just a trial, it was a spectacle, with the judge relishing the power he wielded. Yet the boy's demeanor shifted when he uttered two simple words, "I confess." These words, though seemingly innocuous, carried a weight that shifted the entire narrative. The judge, caught off guard, paused for a moment, his expression faltering. The courtroom, once filled with laughter at the boy's expense, fell silent. This shift in dynamics illustrates the importance of self-advocacy, even in the most intimidating environments. By choosing to speak up, the boy took ownership of his narrative, a lesson that can be applied in various life situations, from academic settings to personal relationships. In practical terms, this scenario underscores the significance of preparation and understanding one's rights. For instance, before entering a challenging situation, be it a legal matter or a difficult conversation, individuals can benefit from researching their circumstances. Knowing the facts and potential outcomes equips them to respond effectively. The boy, despite his youth, demonstrated an innate understanding of this principle. He had likely spent time reflecting on his situation, considering the implications of his words. This preparation allowed him to reclaim his narrative, transforming the judge's mockery into a moment of vulnerability and truth. Moreover, the boy's confession initiated a ripple effect within the courtroom. The judge, now faced with a genuine admission, had to reconsider his approach. This moment highlights the power of authenticity in communication. When individuals express their true feelings or circumstances, it can disarm even the most hardened critics. For example, in a business meeting, a team member might admit to a mistake. This vulnerability can foster a culture of trust, prompting others to share their challenges and ultimately leading to collaborative problem-solving. As the judge's demeanor shifted, so too did the atmosphere in the room. The spectators, who had once reveled in the boy's humiliation, now witnessed a transformation. This change serves as a reminder of the importance of empathy. In any situation where power dynamics are at play, recognizing the humanity in others can lead to more constructive outcomes. By encouraging a culture of understanding, individuals can create environments where dialogue replaces mockery, fostering growth and learning. In the aftermath of the boy's confession, the judge's ruling took on a new dimension. His decision was no longer just about punishment. It became an opportunity for redemption. This illustrates the impact of second chances. In our own lives, we can adopt a mindset that embraces growth, allowing individuals to learn from their mistakes rather than be defined by them. By fostering environments that prioritize growth over punishment, we can encourage resilience and personal development. Ultimately, the boy's 2 words not only changed his fate, but also challenged the very fabric of the courtroom's dynamics. This narrative serves as a powerful reminder of the significance of self-advocacy, authenticity, empathy, and the transformative power of second chances. In every interaction, we hold the potential to redefine our circumstances, turning moments of mockery into opportunities for profound change. In a dimly lit courtroom, the atmosphere crackled with tension as a young boy stood before the judge, his heart racing with anxiety. The judge, known for his sharp tongue and unyielding demeanor, leaned forward, a smirk playing on his lips. "You think you can plead innocence with that pathetic excuse?" The boy's cheeks flushed a deep crimson, a mix of humiliation and fear washing over him. Yet in that moment of despair, he clutched a small piece of paper in his pocket, the weight of which felt heavier than the world pressing down on his shoulders. This seemingly innocuous slip held 2 simple words that had the power to shift the course of his fate entirely. As the judge continued his tirade, dismissing the boy's pleas with scornful laughter, an unexpected calm enveloped the boy. He remembered the advice of his mentor, a seasoned attorney who had taught him that the truth, when wielded correctly, could be a formidable weapon. The boy took a deep breath, the air thick with anticipation, and summoned the courage to speak. "I am innocent." The words hung in the air, but it was the second phrase, delivered with newfound conviction, that reverberated through the courtroom. "I have proof." The judge's expression shifted from derision to disbelief, and the murmurs of the audience grew louder, their curiosity piqued. This sudden turn of events illustrated a critical lesson in the art of persuasion. Confidence can often sway even the most skeptical of audiences. According to Dr. Robert Cialdini, a renowned psychologist and expert on influence, the way one presents information can be just as important as the information itself. The boy's transformation from a quivering figure to a beacon of determination captured the attention of everyone present, demonstrating that authenticity and belief in oneself can alter perceptions dramatically. As the boy revealed the evidence he had painstakingly gathered, the atmosphere shifted palpably. The judge's mockery faded into silence, replaced by a growing sense of intrigue. The courtroom, once filled with skepticism, became a space of revelation. The boy's proof, photographs and testimonies that corroborated his innocence unfolded like a well-crafted narrative, drawing the audience into his story. This moment underscored the importance of preparation and strategy in high-stakes situations. It was not merely the content of his evidence that mattered, but the way he presented it, weaving a narrative that spoke to the emotions and logic of those listening. Experts in communication assert that storytelling is one of the most powerful tools for persuasion, allowing individuals to connect on a deeper level. Ultimately, the judge's demeanor transformed as he absorbed the boy's revelations. The smirk was replaced with a furrowed brow, signaling a shift in authority. The boy's 2 words had not only changed his fate, but had illuminated the path toward justice. In that courtroom, the interplay of confidence, storytelling, and strategic presentation became a testament to the power of truth, leaving the boy not only vindicated, but also a symbol of resilience against adversity. In the hushed atmosphere of the courtroom, the tension was palpable as the judge leaned forward, a mocking smile curling his lips. The boy, barely 16, stood before him, trembling under the weight of the accusations that had been leveled against him. The judge, known for his sharp tongue and disdain for youthful indiscretions, taunted the boy, questioning his intelligence and maturity. This dynamic is not uncommon in courtrooms across the nation, where young defendants often face a system that seems stacked against them. Research indicates that youth in legal settings frequently experience feelings of helplessness and intimidation, which can significantly impact their ability to defend themselves effectively. Steinberg, 2014. As the judge continued his verbal assault, the boy's face drained of color. It was a moment that encapsulated the broader issue of how juveniles are treated within the justice system. Studies show that adolescents are particularly vulnerable to the pressures of adult court, where the stakes are high and the atmosphere is unforgiving. The American Psychological Association has highlighted that adolescents may lack the cognitive maturity to fully understand the legal proceedings they are involved in, making them more susceptible to the whims of authority figures, APA 2018. But then, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. Two words, "I remember," escaped the boy's lips, echoing through the courtroom like a thunderclap. In that instant, the judge's demeanor changed. The boy's recollection of a critical event, previously dismissed as irrelevant, suddenly took on a new significance. This pivotal moment underscores the importance of memory and narrative in legal contexts. Research has shown that eyewitness testimony, particularly from young individuals, can be both powerful and unreliable, often swayed by the pressures of the courtroom environment. Loftus, 2017. However, when a young person articulates a clear and impactful memory, it can reshape the trajectory of a case. The boy's words were not merely a defense, they were a revelation that illuminated the truth behind the accusations. It reminded everyone present of the complexities inherent in juvenile cases. According to the National Center for Juvenile Justice, a significant percentage of young defendants are wrongly accused or misrepresented, leading to devastating consequences for their futures. The boy's assertion not only challenged the judge's mockery, but also highlighted a critical aspect of the justice system: the need for compassion and understanding when dealing with minors. As the courtroom buzzed with renewed energy, the judge's expression softened, revealing a flicker of recognition, perhaps a reminder of his own youth. It is essential for those in positions of authority to acknowledge the developmental differences between adults and adolescents. Experts advocate for a more rehabilitative approach to juvenile justice, emphasizing the potential for growth and change rather than mere punishment. Mendel, 2011. In the aftermath of that moment, the boy stood a little taller, emboldened by the acknowledgement of his experience. The courtroom, once a place of mockery, transformed into a space where truth could emerge, reminding everyone present of the profound impact that a single moment can have on the course of justice. The boy's two words served as a catalyst, not only for his defense, but also for a broader conversation about the treatment of young people in the legal system, urging a shift towards empathy and understanding. In the courtroom, a tense atmosphere envelops the proceedings as the judge's derisive tone cuts through the air, targeting the boy who stands vulnerable before him. The judge's mockery seems to amplify the boy's sense of isolation, casting doubt on his character and intentions. This moment encapsulates the power dynamics at play, where authority figures wield their influence to belittle those who are less experienced or perceived as weaker. The boy's initial reaction is one of confusion and fear, emotions that are palpable to everyone present. However, the situation takes a dramatic turn when two simple words emerge, shifting the entire narrative and leaving the boy visibly shaken. These words serve as a catalyst, not only altering the course of the trial, but also redefining the boy's identity in the eyes of the court and those who witnessed the proceedings. As the implications of those two words resonate, the boy's pale complexion reflects the weight of the revelation. The courtroom, once filled with laughter and scorn, now brims with a charged silence as the audience grapples with the sudden shift in perception. This pivotal moment underscores the theme of transformation, illustrating how a single utterance can dismantle preconceived notions and reshape the trajectory of an individual's life. The boy, who initially stood alone against the judge's derision, now finds himself at the center of a narrative that holds the potential for redemption or further despair. The stark contrast between the judge's earlier mockery and the gravity of the revelation highlights the fragility of human dignity and the complexities of justice. In this unfolding drama, the boy's journey becomes emblematic of resilience in the face of adversity. The courtroom serves not only as a venue for legal proceedings, but also as a microcosm of societal judgment and the often harsh realities that accompany it. The judge's earlier disdain is juxtaposed with the newfound respect that emerges from the boy's unexpected revelation. This transformation prompts a re-evaluation of not just the boy's character, but also the motivations behind the judge's initial scorn. The audience is left to ponder the broader implications of authority, vulnerability, and the capacity for change within the confines of a rigid system. As the narrative approaches its resolution, the stakes are raised, and the boy stands at a crossroads. The courtroom, once a place of ridicule, now becomes a stage for potential vindication. The two words that altered everything serve as a reminder of the profound impact that language and perception can have on an individual's fate. The boy's pale expression signifies not just fear but also the weight of newfound responsibility. In the face of uncertainty, he is poised to embrace his truth, which may ultimately lead to a resolution that transcends the confines of the courtroom. The audience is left anticipating the outcome, eager to see whether the boy will emerge empowered or further diminished by the forces that seek to define him. The resolution promises to be a culmination of the themes of identity, justice, and the enduring struggle for dignity in a world that often overlooks the vulnerable. In a tense courtroom, the atmosphere crackled with anticipation as the judge, a figure of authority, ridiculed a young boy standing nervously before him. The boy, a mere child caught in a web of circumstances beyond his control, felt the weight of the world pressing down on him. The judge's mocking tone echoed through the room, but just as despair threatened to engulf the boy, two words pierced the air, shifting the entire narrative. These words, laden with significance, not only stunned the judge but also illuminated the boy's truth, leaving him pale yet empowered. This pivotal moment serves as a reminder of the importance of empathy and understanding in the judicial process, especially when the stakes are so high for vulnerable individuals. To address the underlying issues highlighted by this courtroom drama, it is crucial to foster an environment where compassion and respect take precedence over ridicule. Legal professionals, including judges and lawyers, must undergo training that emphasizes the psychological impact of their words and actions on young defendants. Workshops focused on communication strategies can equip them with the tools necessary to navigate sensitive cases with care. By integrating these practices, the judicial system can cultivate a culture of support, ensuring that young individuals are treated with the dignity they deserve regardless of their circumstances. The expected outcome is a more humane court environment that encourages open dialogue, ultimately leading to fairer judgments and a stronger foundation for rehabilitation. Furthermore, community engagement plays a vital role in reshaping perceptions around youth in the justice system. Initiatives that promote awareness about the challenges faced by young defendants can bridge the gap between the legal system and the public. By organizing events that feature testimonials from former juvenile offenders and their families, communities can gain insight into the profound effects of courtroom interactions. This understanding can drive advocacy for policy changes that prioritize restorative justice approaches over punitive measures. As a result, communities can foster a supportive network that not only aids in the rehabilitation of young individuals, but also encourages societal acceptance and reintegration. In addition to community efforts, collaboration with mental health professionals is essential to address the emotional and psychological needs of young defendants. Courts should consider implementing mental health screenings as part of the judicial process, allowing for tailored support that recognizes the unique challenges faced by youth. By partnering with mental health organizations, the legal system can ensure that young individuals receive the necessary resources to navigate their circumstances effectively. The anticipated outcome is a holistic approach that not only addresses legal issues, but also promotes emotional well-being, paving the way for healthier futures. As we reflect on the boy's experience in court, it becomes clear that the journey toward reform begins with a commitment to change. Legal professionals, community members, and mental health advocates must unite to create a system that prioritizes understanding and compassion. The call to action is straightforward. Engage in conversations, advocate for policy changes, and support initiatives that uplift young voices. By doing so, we can transform the courtroom from a place of mockery into a sanctuary of hope and healing, ensuring that no child ever feels the sting of ridicule again. Together, we can rewrite the narrative and build a future where every young person is treated with the respect and dignity they deserve. In the courtroom's tense atmosphere, the judge's derisive laughter reverberates, casting a shadow over the young boy's fragile spirit. The boy, standing alone against the weight of judgment, embodies innocence yet faces an overwhelming tide of scorn. The judge's mockery serves as a stark reminder of the power dynamics at play, where authority often belittles the vulnerable. However, the narrative takes a pivotal turn with the utterance of two simple words, which suddenly transform the court's energy. These words, rich with implications, not only shatter the judge's facade of superiority, but also illuminate the boy's hidden strength. In that fleeting moment, The boy's pallor shifts from one of fear to a dawning realization of his own worth, revealing how a single phrase can alter perceptions and redefine reality. The courtroom, once a battleground of humiliation, becomes a stage for resilience, and the undeniable truth that even the most marginalized voices can command presence. This moment encapsulates the essence of transformation, echoing the profound belief that understanding and empathy can emerge from the most unexpected places. The boy's journey underscores a universal truth. Adversity can spark a profound awakening, igniting a fire within that propels individuals to reclaim their narratives. The judge's initial derision fades into a backdrop of introspection, prompting a re-evaluation of authority and the responsibilities that accompany it. In this intricate dance of power and vulnerability, the boy's experience serves as a poignant reminder that the essence of humanity lies not in the positions we hold, but in our capacity to uplift one another. The courtroom scene, rife with tension, evolves into a powerful testament to the resilience of the human spirit, urging us to reflect on our roles in the lives of those around us. As we navigate our own paths, let us carry forward the lesson that words hold immense power, capable of both harm and healing. In moments of despair, we must remember that our voices can foster change and inspire courage in others. The boy's transformation, catalyzed by two simple words, invites us to consider the impact of our actions and the significance of standing up for those who may feel voiceless. Ultimately, it is in recognizing our shared humanity that we can cultivate a world where kindness prevails over mockery, where understanding triumphs over judgment. In this shared journey, let us strive to be the voices that uplift, empower, and inspire, for it is through our collective compassion that we can illuminate even the darkest corners of life.